In the UK, immigration is a major issue at the moment. We saw the recent rallies in London. I mean, the mainstream media estimated the crowd to be about 150,000. It looked much larger than that. What do you think is the sentiment behind this wave?
Liz Truss just did what no one else in Westminster dared. She tore through Keir Starmer's carefully built illusion of competence. No spin, no diplomacy, just brutal truth. In one stunning moment, she exposed him as the face of a failing establishment, weak, detached, and utterly disconnected from real Britain. And when asked if the country needs a leader with the conviction of Donald Trump, her one-word answer, absolutely, hit like a political earthquake. This wasn't just criticism, it was a declaration. Truss didn't attack Starmer's policies, she dismantled his entire image.
I mean, people in Britain are incredibly frustrated. Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, is the most unpopular Prime Minister on record. He is detested by the British public, and people are frustrated about immigration, they're frustrated about free speech. The fact that the police aren't dealing with crime, but they're arresting people for posting things on X. So people are very, very disgruntled, and as you say, the turnout was higher than the mainstream media portrayed it to be. And, one of the problems we've got is our mainstream media is so out of touch and so part of the old establishment that we've just been talking about, the sort of Biden-led establishment, if you like. They're not following what's really going on in Britain. And I think there's going to be a seismic change at the next election because people are beyond frustrated.
Next election isn't due until 2029, though. Do you think there could be movement before then?
I think it's unlikely because Labour have a big majority in Parliament and they know they're going to lose the election. So if you're a Labour MP, why would you vote to end the Parliament early? I don't think it's realistic. I think we will go to 2029 and all of these bad ideas, net zero, Keynesian economics where the government spends more money and taxes more. All of these bad ideas are being shown not to work, and that is what is happening now. So I think people almost needed to see what the consequence of these ideas were in order to vote for something different. But I think that is now what's going to happen.
So with Keir Starmer's quite dramatic collapse, we haven't seen support in the Conservative Party rise, and instead it's losing ground to Nigel Farage and Reform. At this point, do you think Nigel Farage could be Britain's next Prime Minister?
Well, he's the bookie's favourite. And just to put some context on this, he's currently polling just over 30% and the Conservative Party are on 16%. And the Labour Party is almost as low as the Conservative Party because people have lost trust in the mainstream because they've been peddling these ideas like mass migration, net zero, big government, all of this stuff, anti-free speech stuff that people actually didn't vote for. And when I look at Australia, I can see the same thing will happen if there isn't a strong fight back to actually oppose these bad ideas. Because what happened is too many people in the Conservative Party bought into this stuff. They bought into transgender ideology, they bought into net zero, they raised taxes to the highest level in 70 years. I tried to stop that when I was Prime Minister, but I got very strong opposition from within the Conservative Party. But the net result of that is the Conservative Party is now losing huge amounts of ground to Reform.
So do you think the Conservative Party needs to change, or do you think you would find a home elsewhere?
Well, the Conservative Party does need to change or it will die.
Yeah.
And
would you consider returning as leader to the Conservative Party? Do you still have political aspirations?
I mean, I don't rule out anything in the future, but what I know from my time as a minister and Prime Minister is what I call the blob in Britain is very powerful, the unelected bureaucrats, the judiciary. So I am only willing to be part of politics if politicians can really actually do things. If it's a case that the Bank of England makes the decisions or the judiciary makes the decisions or the bureaucrat makes the decisions, what is the point of being a politician? So we are now having a much broader discussion in Britain about what is wrong. Why is the country ungovernable? Why have we had a series of prime ministers who haven't delivered what the population actually want because of the power of the NGOs, because of the power of the global blob, if you like, the bureaucracy. So that's, to me, I want to be part of that discussion about the big changes we need to make in order to make Britain great again. Because if we simply change the person in Downing Street, I know from my experience they're not going to be able to do anything without repealing all of the laws that we've just been talking about. For example, the net zero law. If we don't repeal those laws, we're not going to get anything done.
You just mentioned there, make Britain great again. Do you think the UK does need a leader with some of Donald Trump's convictions?
Absolutely.
What you just heard from Liz Truss wasn't the polished rhetoric of a career politician. It was a precise and unflinching dismantling of the illusion Sir Keir Starmer has spent years constructing around himself. For too long, Starmer has cloaked himself in the image of calm authority, the so-called voice of reason, the safe pair of hands. But strip away the presentation, and what remains is a portrait of a man fundamentally disconnected from the realities ordinary Britons face. Truss didn't need to shout or grandstand. Her words carried the quiet weight of fact, and the truth is damning. Starmer is not merely unpopular. Across much of the country, he's become a symbol of the very establishment fatigue voters thought they'd left behind. You can hear it in the protests, in the anger over uncontrolled immigration, in the frustration that criminals walk free while citizens face arrest for social media posts. These aren't isolated incidents, they're symptoms of a deeper breakdown in public trust. And at the centre of it stands a Prime Minister whose response is too often silence, deflection, or the detached condescension of someone who no longer hears the people he governs. Truss said aloud what much of the mainstream media refuses to confront. Britain's governing establishment is decaying, and Starmer isn't reforming it, he's defending it. Whether it's the costly pursuit of net zero at the expense of industry, the unchecked public spending disguised as fiscal discipline, or the willingness to appease divisive interest groups for political gain, the pattern is unmistakable. Starmer governs not for the people, but for the institutions that serve themselves. And Truss spoke with the authority of experience, someone who has seen the machinery of power from the inside and understands just how deep that rot runs. Her conclusion was blunt. This isn't simply a leadership crisis. It's a system in collapse. In Starmer's Britain, the elected no longer govern. Unelected bureaucrats and technocrats do. Parliament has become a spectator as power shifts to the faceless and the unaccountable. Truss's warning was clear. Unless these entrenched systems are torn down and rebuilt, no change in leadership will ever truly matter. And then came the line that sent shockwaves through Westminster. Asked whether Britain needs a leader with the conviction and defiance of Donald Trump, she didn't equivocate. Absolutely, she said, one word that cut through the noise like thunder. It wasn't an endorsement of personality, it was a call for courage, a demand for a leader unafraid to confront the global order that has hollowed out Britain's sovereignty and prosperity. By making that point, Truss did more than challenge Starmer's policies, she exposed the hollowness of his entire persona. Behind the photo ops, the carefully managed appearances, and the manufactured gravitas lies a man presiding over decline, paralysis, and appeasement. The real question now isn't whether Starmer can weather another scandal or survive another poll. It's whether Britain itself can survive him.
I mean, people in Britain are incredibly frustrated. Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, is the most unpopular Prime Minister on record. He is detested by the British public, and people are frustrated about immigration, they're frustrated about free speech, the fact that the police aren't dealing with crime, but they're arresting people for posting things on X. So people are very, very disgruntled, and as you say, the turnout was higher than the mainstream media portrayed it to be. And one of the problems we've got is our mainstream media is so out of touch and so part of the old establishment that we've just been talking about, the sort of Biden-led establishment, if you like. They're not following what's really going on in Britain. And I think there's going to be a seismic change at the next election because people are beyond frustrated.